£40,000, that's it. That's what I paid for my house. Now, before you think I've gone completely mad, or that I'm about to show you some crumbling shed in the middle of nowhere, let me stop you right there. This is a real house, in a real street, with real neighbours, and I bought it for less than the price of a second-hand car in London. When I told people what I'd done, the reactions were interesting. My sister said, "You've lost your mind." My mate Dave said, "That'll be a money pit." And my old colleague, who's been renting a one-bed flat in Manchester for $900 a month, just stared at me in silence. But here's the thing. When the average house price in England right now is sitting at $290,000, and when most people our age are either stuck renting or stretched to breaking point on mortgages, I decided to do something completely different. I went north, way north, and I found something that most people in the south don't even believe exists anymore. An affordable house. A real one. So today, I'm going to take you through the whole story, from the moment I found the listing to what I actually paid in total, to the stuff that nobody warns you about. The good, the bad, and the genuinely shocking. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I promise you'll be looking at your own situation very differently. I bought a house for $40,000 in the north of England. Here's what really happened. Why I looked north in the first place. Let me give you a bit of background. I'm in my mid-40s. I'd spent years watching London and the southeast become completely out of reach. Every time I thought I was close to having enough for a deposit, prices went up again. The goalposts kept moving, and I wasn't alone. The average house price in England is now nearly 8 times the average annual income. That's not just expensive, that's a generational crisis. But while the south was becoming unaffordable, something quietly different was happening in the north of England. In the year to February 2026, house price inflation was highest in Yorkshire and the Humber, up 3.9%, while the northeast saw the highest monthly increase of any English region at 2.7%. Prices were moving, yes, but they were moving from a much lower base. The average house price across the northeast is around $160,000, roughly 29% cheaper than the England and Wales average. And within that, there are pockets, small towns, post-industrial communities, places that many people have never heard of, where you can still find terraced houses listed for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I started doing my research properly, and what I found genuinely surprised me. Finding the property, what $40,000 actually gets you. For investors and buyers hunting for a bargain in England, the lowest priced properties can be found in County Durham. The DL4 postcode, covering Shildon, has an average sold price of just $62,983. That's 78% below England's average. Sunderland is considered one of the cheapest cities to buy a property in the UK in 2025, with homes in the SR1 postcode listed for around $56,100. But the property I eventually bought wasn't in either of those places. I found it in a small town in the northeast. A terraced house, 2 bedrooms, a backyard, an end-of-terrace position, and a street full of owner-occupied homes. It wasn't glamorous, but it was solid. The listing price, $42,500. I offered $40,000. They accepted. Now, I want to be honest with you here, because too many of these videos make it sound like buying a cheap property is all sunshine and smart decisions. It isn't always. The house needed work, quite a lot of it. The kitchen was from what looked like 1987. The bathroom had seen better days. The electrics needed looking at, and there was a patch of damp on the back wall that I clocked on the first viewing. But the roof was sound, the structure was solid, and, crucially, I'd done my homework. The real cost breakdown. It's not just $40,000. This is where I want to really be straight with you, because this is the part people gloss over. Yes, I bought the house for $40,000, but the total cost of buying it was considerably more. Here's what I actually paid. The purchase price, $40,000 solicitor, conveyancing fees. I paid around $1,200 all in, including searches, legal fees, and land registry costs. Legal fees typically range from $850 to $2,000, including VAT, and many buyers are caught out by additional charges for search packs on top of the headline quote. Survey. I didn't just get a basic mortgage valuation, I got a full Level 3 building survey, the most detailed one available. It cost me $650. And I'll tell you now, it was worth every single penny. A Level 3 survey is a detailed health check on your property. It exposes unexpected problems that could significantly inflate renovation costs. Not getting one can lead to major structural issues halfway through a project. Stamp duty. Because this was below $125,000 and I was buying it as my primary residence, I paid zero stamp duty. That's one of the few genuine wins of buying at this price point. Mortgage arrangement fee. The lender charged $999. Added to the loan, thankfully. So before I even touched a paintbrush or hired a single tradesperson, my $40,000 house had already cost me closer to $43,000 in purchasing costs alone. Then came the renovation. Right. I'm going to pause here for a moment because what comes next is honestly the most important part of this story. The renovation, the unexpected costs, the mistakes I made, and, spoiler, whether this whole thing was actually worth it financially. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss part 2 when it drops this week. And while you're at it, drop a comment below. I genuinely want to know, are you thinking about buying up north? Have you already done it? Or does the whole idea sound completely bonkers to you? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Right, let's carry on. The renovation reality, what nobody tells you. I went into the renovation with a budget of $15,000. I came out having spent just over $22,000. Let me walk you through where the money went and where it surprised me. The electrics. The survey flagged the wiring as old and potentially unsafe. I got 3 quotes. The middle one came in at $4,800. I went with it. Rewiring a typical 3-bedroom house typically costs between $4,000 and $7,000 depending on complexity. Mine was at the lower end because it's a smaller 2-bedroom terrace, but it still stung. The damp. Remember that patch I noticed on the first viewing? The survey confirmed rising damp. It needed a damp-proof course and timber treatment. Treating rising damp can cost between $1,000 and $5,000 for a damp-proof course and associated timber treatment. Mine came in at $1,400. Not ruinous, but it wasn't in my original budget. The kitchen. I went mid-range. Nothing fancy. New units, new worktop, new appliances. Around $4,200 including fitting. The bathroom. Stripped out, new suite, new tiles. $2,600 with labour. Plastering, painting and flooring throughout. I did a lot of the painting myself, which saved money. The plastering and flooring, I hired local tradespeople. The north has a significant cost advantage here. Renovation costs vary considerably by region. Labour rates in the north of England are meaningfully lower than in London and the southeast. A mid-spec renovation on a house like mine would cost considerably more in the south. A new boiler, the existing one was old and inefficient. A new combi boiler installed came to $2,100. The contingency fund. I had set aside 10% for surprises. I used almost all of it. Any serious renovation budget should factor in at least a 10% contingency for unexpected costs. I'd strongly recommend 15% for older terraced properties. The hidden costs you won't see on any listing. Beyond the purchase price and the renovation, there were costs I genuinely hadn't fully prepared for. Council tax. Even before I moved in, once I took ownership, the council started the clock. I was paying council tax on a property I wasn't yet living in. Utilities, standing charges. Gas, electric, and water all have standing charges regardless of whether you're using them. Even an empty house costs money. Insurance. Buildings. Insurance from day one is non-negotiable. Contents insurance once you move in on top of that. Budget for it. Skip hire. 3 skips across the renovation. Skip hire costs typically run from 125 to 320 tons per week depending on container size, plus permits of 15 to 60 tons if placed on public land. 3 skips over several months cost me over $600. The time cost? This one isn't financial, but it's real. Managing a renovation, even with tradespeople, takes an enormous amount of time, energy, and mental bandwidth. Nobody warns you about the weekends lost to tile samples, builder callbacks, and waiting for deliveries. A Homeowners Alliance survey found that more than a third of UK homeowners, 37%, regret aspects of their purchase, with underestimating costs being the biggest regret among buyers aged 18 to 34. At 40 plus, we're old enough to plan better, but it still catches people out. So what did it cost, in total? Let me give you the honest final number. Item cost purchase price $40,000 legal. conveyancing, $200 survey, $650 mortgage arrangement fee, $999 full renovation, $2,400 miscellaneous, insurance, skips, council tax during works. $1,800 total, $67,000. Now, $67,000 is still, by any measure, an extraordinary amount of money for a house in 2025 in England. The average house price is $290,000. I own a fully renovated, move-in ready property for less than a quarter of that. My mortgage payments? $287 a month on a repayment mortgage. I've seen people paying more than that for a car. Was it worth it? The honest answer. Yes. Unequivocally, yes, but I want to be very clear about something. This isn't a scheme. It isn't a hack, and it isn't right for everyone. If you're buying in the north purely as an investment without intending to live there or manage it closely, be careful. Some cheap areas have seen significant price declines. Bradford's BD1 postcode dropped 62% over 3 years, and rental demand varies significantly between towns. Cheap doesn't automatically mean good investment. And if you're stretched to the absolute limit of your budget with no contingency fund, a cheap fixer-upper could become a very expensive nightmare very quickly. But if you go in with your eyes open, with a proper survey, with a contingency budget, with local knowledge, or at least the willingness to do serious research, then yes, the north of England in 2025 and 2026 represents something that genuinely hasn't existed in this country for a generation: accessible property ownership. House prices across the northeast are forecast to increase by over 28% in the 5 years to 2029, according to Savills. The equity I'm already building on a $67,000 all-in investment is something I simply could not have achieved anywhere in the south. And beyond the numbers, I own my home, fully, properly, mine. After years of renting, of watching money disappear into someone else's mortgage every month, there is something deeply satisfying about that. Something I didn't expect to feel as strongly as I do. What I'd tell anyone thinking about doing this. Before I wrap up, let me give you the practical summary. The stuff I wish someone had told me before I started. 1. Get the best survey you can afford. Don't cut corners here. A $600 survey can save you $6,000 in surprises. 2. Add at least 15% on top of your renovation budget before you even start. Assume something unexpected will happen. It will. 3. Use local tradespeople. The cost savings in the north compared to sourcing people from elsewhere are real and significant. 4. Visit the street at different times of day. A house is also its neighbourhood. Spend time there before you commit. 5. Factor in the full cost of buying, not just the purchase price. Legal fees, surveys, arrangement fees, stamp duty if applicable, they add up faster than you expect. 6. Talk to a mortgage broker before you start looking. Some lenders are cautious about very low-value properties or properties needing significant work. Know your options before you fall in love with a listing. 7. And perhaps the most important one, don't let fear of imperfection stop you. The house doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be structurally sound and in a viable location. Everything else is paintwork and time. In part 2, I'm going to show you the house, before and after the renovation. I'll walk you through every room, tell you what each trade cost, and show you what the property is now worth according to 2 local estate agents. The number might surprise you. If you want to see part 2, subscribe right now. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I don't want you to miss it when it drops. And leave me a comment below. Tell me, are you thinking about buying in the north? Are you already living there? Or are you one of those people who thinks this is all absolutely mad? Either way, I genuinely love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this all the way to the end. It genuinely means a lot. If this video made you think differently about property, about what's possible, about where options still exist in this country, then please share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend stuck in a renting trap. A family member who thinks home ownership is simply out of reach. Someone in their 40s who's given up, because sometimes the answer isn't to save harder in the same place. Sometimes the answer is to look further north. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share. And I will see you in part 2. Take care, everyone.